firmly believe that everyone can be good with money. That doesn't mean to say you've got to be a geek with a spreadsheet and never go out and never spend any money and build up enormous sums of money. But essentially it boils down to how we think about our own personal identity and the messages we learned when we were growing up. Now, about half the population tell themselves that they're terrible with maths, not good with numbers. And they find it complicated. So they've told themselves right at the beginning that money, maths and numbers is something that they don't do. Well, you've got to stop that, because I didn't have a great education and I wasn't great at maths at school either. But to be good with money, you don't have to be a maths geek. What you have to do is have a positive self-image that you can be good with money, that you will be good with money, but also you need to define what that means. And being good with money means not spending money you don't have now for things that you don't need to impress people that you probably don't know and who, quite frankly, don't care. Well, I think the simplest thing to do is, just as before you're leaving school and going out either to uni or into the world of work, is to work out what you want to spend each week or each month. Now, I'm not keen on budgets. I like people to be smart spenders. But the difference between people who get ahead financially and those who don't are that people who get ahead financially decide where they want their money to go before they spend it. You need to break it down between living costs and fun. Everything else in terms of saving for the future, that can come later. But breaking down the costs between fun and living costs means that hopefully you'll get some control over where the money's going. But you need to tell your money where it's going to go before you start spending it. The only reason to save when you're just starting out and you haven't got very high income and you're just starting out in your career, saving is not the be-all and end-all as long as you're not spending more than you're earning. It is important to save some money to build an emergency fund, so you've got a bit of a buffer. But don't get too hung up on that. I think it's really important to make sure that you're not spending more than you earn to start with, so that you can show yourself that you can control. And then when you've done that, then perhaps you can start to make an allowance for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, £100, whatever the figure is that you can sustain, to put aside into an account that you don't touch, but that you could touch if you, for instance, overspend 1 month or you have an emergency outgoing that you weren't aware of. The difference between good debt and bad debt is simply this. Good debt is when you are borrowing money to buy something which hopefully is going to go up in value or is highly likely to. So an example of that would be, say, a house that you live in and education training to help you earn more money in the future. Bad debt is where we are borrowing money to buy things that we don't have the money for now and which won't have much value in the future, if any. And that money also costs us money in terms of interest. So what we're saying when we incur bad debt is we want something so badly that we're prepared to pay more for it in the form of interest, and to have to pay back that money from our future cash flows. So if we go back to the university situation where we're thinking about, I'm taking on all this student debt. Even though I said that's good debt, it's not really debt, because you only have to pay back that funding if you earn over £25,000. And if you stop working, say you take a time out for a career break or to have a family or go abroad, you won't necessarily have to pay it back at the same level until you start earning again. You aren't leaving university with lots of debt unless you go and get store cards, credit cards, overdrafts and loans. Because you've got student financing, which we've now said is not really debt, it's a form of deferred graduate tax, don't use that as an excuse to then go and get yourself into other forms of borrowing to fund your consumption, your lifestyle. And if you can get that concept right, that habit right early on, it will set you up for life.